All right, guys, thank you again for joining me. This is Cats Pajamas here for IPL Season 2 qualifiers bonus coverage. This is game number 2 between our Teal Protoss player here in the top left-hand corner of Malter. He is desRow. His opponent in the top right-hand corner, representative of FnaticMSiTT, that is TT1. Both very talented Protoss players. TT1, an exceptionally good player, so I'm really curious to see how he follows up his victory in game number 1. Held off a cannon rush out of desRow in that first game, turned that into a 4 warp gate push, and was able to quite successfully defend against desRow's forces. Now we are on Malter. And like I talk about several times in PvP on Malter, the walk distance doesn't matter too much in terms of deterring, warp gate openings or anything like that, because obviously warp gate openings allow you to warp in units all across the map, depending on where you have pylons placed. Now, what they do deter are things like overt robo builds, very quick robo builds, things like that, unless you're going to some sort of a Stargate build behind quick phoenixes, and you can get those across the map easily. It doesn't really deter much. It more just kind of focuses the game down to a pure warp gate composition. So we'll see what both these players do. I would expect warp gate rushes out of both of them, especially TT1. desRow throwing out the good luck, have fun, the good game, good luck out of TT1 as well. Both the players being very polite to each other. And this is round of 256 action as well. So in qualifier number 1, these two players actually met very, very quickly. desRow, unfortunately, kind of had a bad run of meeting opponents in the various different qualifiers. He did face White Raw round 1 in qualifier 3, I think. That's a little rough as well. But White Raw did end up actually qualifying for the IPL through qualifier number 3. We'll see if desRow is able to make it past this opponent, though. desRow now putting down his cybernetic score. Same thing going down for TT1. TT1 actually a little bit behind in that regard. But he is up by 1 worker, so there is your difference in the builds thus far. In other words, not much. It's like desRow, unfortunately, going to scout his opponent last. And TT1 did scout his opponent first, so he does have that advantage going for him. We'll see if he does any sort of an in-base proxy or something like that. A lot of different possibilities for that. He could sneak around the back here. There's a lot of space back here. It makes, like, overt Banshee harassment, things like that, a little bit harder, but all that space back there does lend itself to some proxy play. You also have a very large main out to the side as well. He could place a pylon down here on the low ground, sit his unit on the high ground, and just continue to warp in units. He could also put it somewhere in the main, or in the natural, I'm sorry. So, a lot of different possibilities. We'll see what he goes with. Looks like desRow dropping down gateways number 2 and 3. He has enough money for number 4 if he so desires, and indeed he is going to put that down. So, gateways number 2, 3, and 4 coming down for him. TT1, on the other hand, just bringing up his 3rd gateway. He is a little bit behind on warp gate technology, actually about 20 seconds behind. desRow significantly ahead. We'll see if TT1, though, with his superior stalker count he's getting out at the moment, is going to be able to equalize that amount of gateway pressure. And I just saw, as soon as I went away, that gateway number 4 had been queued up. So there we go, 4 warp gate on for warp gate. Looks like TT1 going to try and do a little bit of damage. desRow has already taken a couple of shots there. It's going to force TT1 back here for the time being. desRow has cut workers at 20, so he is going for that super, super aggressive 4 gate, where he just tries to get out pure units. Forward pylon going down as well near the middle of the map. TT1 going to reinforce in just a second, but he is not done with his warp gate technology quite yet. desRow already warping in a few units. 3 stalkers coming in. Should add a 4th. Looks like a zealot actually being brought in for his next unit. So here we go. TT1 finishing up his 4th gate. All of those turning into warp gates at the moment as well. He's going to make his way out, and he is going to catch this force. Ooh, except he is going down to the bottom. He's actually going to bypass that. Few units have warped in for TT1. He is up in units. He is actually up by 5 supply, and only 3 of that is workers, which means he does have a 1 stalker advantage. However, his zealots are lagging behind, and that could prove problematic, as he would not be able to engage his force directly with just the amount of stalkers that he has. Looks like this may come down to one big push, though, because desRow is very, very committed. But if he is able to get in here, oh, wow, he actually has less units now as well. Oh, he cut workers for that super aggressive 4K, but he actually has less units altogether. That means it's going to come down to positioning for him. TT1 has a few warp gates now ready to warp in a couple of extra units, and if he's able to do that and pull that off, ooh, but he is supply blocked. And it looks like desRow is as well. So here comes TT1's reinforcements now. All the units are starting to engage, and looks like desRow is actually being focused through a little choke point there. And yes, TT1's Zealots were a little bit more hardy, but of course they were so low on health that desRow was able to pick those off as he was running away. He's bringing in a couple of Zealots at this point, but TT1 actually does have the superior army. He is up by 1 Zealot at this point. He'll be able to reinforce a little bit quicker as well. So desRow going to have to make his way in here again in just a second. TT1, I like his larger number of Zealots. He isn't going to have the overt response to the Stalkers, but of course all of his units just immediately run through desRow's Zealots, and now desRow is completely trapped. Look at the positioning of these units for TT1, forcing all of those units through a choke. Beautiful positioning. TT1 now with a massive advantage. He is going to be able to crush through all of those units. Very well done. And that is going to force desRow back completely. I don't believe desRow is producing anything else. Whoa! desRow letting us know what he thought of that set of matches. Very well played, though, out of TT1. So that concludes this best of 3. TT1 does advance into the round of 128 in the first qualifier set. So, guys, appreciate that you guys did tune in. Want to let you know to check out the IPL at IGN.com/IPL. You can also find them as IGN Pro League on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Justin TV. If you've enjoyed my commentary, please do check me out. Twitter.com/CatsPajamasSC2. Do very much appreciate it. Until next time, peace.